What is going on, everybody? Today I'm going to show you guys how you can do a really cheap and easy modification to pretty much any car that's going to add really cool little feature to it. So I really do like my old Cherokee, but if there's one thing that drives me crazy about it, it's the really poor quality incandescent light bulbs that are in the ceiling. So if you see here, this is pretty much all I have for interior lighting. It does the job, but you know what? When it's dark, you really can't see too much. And so I figured, you know what? With how cheap LEDs have become at this point, it's really not too hard to make this a lot better. So what I decided to do was I ordered, the trunk's locked there, I ordered a strip of LEDs off of Amazon, and they're actually really cheap. So they come in a roll. It's basically like a big roll of LED tape. You can usually get about 16 feet of it for about 10 bucks. This is what it looks like. The back is adhesive, and it just has a bunch of SMD LEDs on it. And so what you can do is, I started with my trunk here. I basically went up on the headliner here, and I just stuck a bunch of LEDs on the top and kind of aimed them at the cargo area. And what I did was I wired them into the existing lamp circuit, which also runs on 12 volts. That way, whenever the door gets opened up or closed, the LEDs automatically turn on. Now, this doesn't look like a huge deal right now in the middle of the day, but at night it makes a really huge difference. And so what I figured was, it worked really well for the back, so I might as well do it in the front as well. So what I'm going to show you guys how to do is how you can light up your footwells with these LEDs. That way you can see everything on the floor when you're getting into your car. So what I've done to start is I've just torn up the glove box, and I found out where the existing light was. Here's the existing light. It's 12 volts. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to grab my multimeter and I'm going to pin these leads and figure out which one is positive and which one is negative. And the reason that's so important is because LEDs don't go both ways. You can't put the power through the negative side, or they're not reversible. It only works in one direction. So basically we need to make sure we have the polarity correct, and so we're just going to take a quick look for that. And then they're adhesive, so we just stick them up in the bottom, close everything back up, and it should look really good. So let's get started. Like I said, this is our old lamp circuit. Now, this hasn't been working for a while, so I'm not really too concerned about ruining it. But I think even if it was working, still pretty low chance it can mess this up. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to snip off the existing light bulb. We'll leave ourselves a little bit of room just in case we want to put this back on later, but probably won't. So we can clip that off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip the ends. Now typically with any kind of automotive wiring circuit, if you have a pink and you have a black, you can pretty much assume the black's going to be ground, and therefore the pink is going to be the positive end. But just to be safe, we're going to put it on the multimeter anyways, so that we can take a look. So let's go to strip these wires. There, we got both our wires stripped. Now we're going to pull out multimeter. And the door is open, so the light should be on. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this on the DC setting to the 20 mode. I'm just going to touch up against these two pins here. It's kind of reading low voltage there. What does it say? No, we got 12 volts. All right, perfect. I don't know if you guys could see that, but it read 12 volts in the multimeter, and that was what the black connected to the black, so we know that that's the ground. So at this point, what I went and got myself some was these bullet connectors, or not bullet connectors, sorry, the spade connectors, little waterproof slide-on connectors, and all we have to do is just kind of slide these over and crimp them on top, and then we can attach that to our LED strip. It's actually really simple, so I'll get going on that right now. So once you strip these wires, you just want to spin them together. Slide your terminal over top. Make sure it gets in there. Most important part is to know that it's making contact. And you're going to slide your crimping tool over top, and I realize that this is probably very difficult to see, but crimping's pretty straightforward. So you're just going to squeeze that as hard as you can manage Really want to get that stuck on well. That should leave you with a good crimp. The wire should be in there pretty solid. And just for safety, I mean, you can always do it twice. Now I've gotten the LED side crimped up to some bullet connectors. So before I go and trim the long length of tape here, I just want to actually make sure that they work and that I've soldered on everything correctly. So I'm just going to give it a little test. Should light up. There we go. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is pull this out. I'll show you where I'm looking to put it. I want to install it essentially right up under here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run it along this back area here. We'll see how much space I need. So I'm going to go here. It's all tangled up here on me. I'm leaning on it. It's really simple to install this stuff. So right till about there would be good. So you got to trim these right at their solder points. They have these little copper connection points here, and you got to cut them there. So you can actually cut them quite simply. All I do is just take a pair of scissors and give it a snip. That's it. Now we have our little section of pre-connected things. So I'm just going to go and stick these underneath and we'll test it out. I've gone and stuck my strip up under here. I think the big difference in quality between the low-cost strips and the high-cost strips is really the quality of the adhesive. What's on here is not so good, but I'm just holding my finger on the door latch switch, but when I let it off, pops on. So I just have them connected with 2 spades there, waterproof connectors, and yeah, when I open the door and close it, comes on and off. So we'll wait a couple hours and see how this looks at night, but I have a feeling it's going to be a lot better than no light, so we'll take a look. Alright, so now that a couple hours have gone by, I can actually show you guys the difference that this makes. So I'm going to start off by showing you guys what the stock footwell lights look like on the driver's side, because I haven't touched those yet. So as we open the door, relatively limited amount of light, can't really see too much. And then I'm going to go over to their side and you'll be able to see that it's quite an obvious difference. So opening up the passenger side, you can see that it's much brighter. So that pretty much lets you see everything that's on the floor. It means you got to keep your carpets a lot cleaner, but you can see a hell of a lot. And one of the other things I did before, as I was telling you guys, was I actually decided to put a big long strip up in the trunk. So I have my trunk set so that the lights don't go on, like when I don't have any doors open. It saves battery because I have my trunk open a lot. But once I get the door open, you guys can see how bright the trunk really is now. And again, this is only like $3 worth of LED strips. All I did was just kind of stick them up along the top, and then I wired them into the stock bulb circuit. That way it turns on when the door is open. Now, I actually left my wires exposed. I mean, you can do it a lot cleaner by fishing it up and around, but I just kind of wanted to do this as a proof of concept for now, and then I am going to fish them up later. But yeah, so I'm pretty happy with the results, and I'd highly recommend looking at doing it yourself. It's really easy to do, and it really adds a really premium feel to lighting quality of your car. So for now, I'm out of here.